Hello, today I have some Kino Lorber 4K discs to talk about. All of these I think will be in conversation for some of the most exciting releases of the year. There's a real mix of stuff in this list, so stick around for some recommendations. First up, 3 Days of the Condor, the Sidney Pollack classic from 1975. I love American cinema from the 1970s. I actually think 1975 might be the best year for cinema ever. Seriously, go and have a look at what came out in 1975. I mean, so much good stuff. 3 Days of the Condor is a conspiracy thriller where Robert Redford plays a CIA agent who is undercover, and something goes horribly wrong at the start of the film, some incredibly shocking violence, and after the event, he wants to get pulled out of the operation and he is running for his life. It's a film that's very much in the vein of some of the other paranoia thrillers of the time, the Alan J. Pakula films like The Parallax View and All the President's Men. I know that this had a 4K release in Europe, I think in Germany and France, but there were some issues with that 4K presentation. Now, I never saw that older disc, but I believe they have all been corrected on this Kino Lorber presentation, and I did not notice any issues with this. In fact, it just showed how beautiful the film is, and just the look of 1970s film grain just makes me feel a certain way. This film holds up massively today, such a great thriller, and I think is responsible for inspiring a lot of the great modern thrillers. So it's definitely one to check out if that's your kind of thing. Great special features as well included on the Blu-ray in the package. So this is a great disc all around, and I'm very happy to have it in my collection. Speaking of thrills, a film from 1998, John Frankenheimer's Ronin. I love this film. I love John Frankenheimer. I've talked about him a lot on the channel. If you don't know who John Frankenheimer is, he had a particular run of films in the 1960s which were just incredible. Manchurian Candidate, Seconds, 7 Days in May, Grand Prix, The Train, so many incredible films. And for the decades following the 1960s, many people looked at him as a director who had kind of fallen off. He wasn't making films of the same high caliber that he was in the 60s. But later in his life, in the 1990s, he made this film, which I think shocked many people at the time and is still such a great film to watch. Ronin follows these group of mercenaries, inspired by the samurai Ronin, and they are tasked with stealing this briefcase. And this is no easy task because they have to become accustomed with one another. They're used to kind of dealing on their own, and there's lots of mistrust between these people because not only do they need to get the job done, but they also don't want to die. So it is important who you put your trust into in situations like that. The action is so good in this film. The interactions between Robert De Niro and Jean Reno and then the rest of the cast is brilliant. I love the setting in France. Everything about this film I just think is great. And thankfully it looks great on the 4K disc as well. This is from a scan of the original camera negative, so it looks beautiful. Somewhere behind me on my shelves, I have the older Arrow Video Blu-ray, which I remember looking very good, and I'm not sure if it's the same source or if it's a new scan that has been done, but I think that older disc was from a 4K restoration. The Dolby Vision also aids the image massively. The colours look beautiful. All of the outdoor sequences in the streets look fantastic. And the nighttime sequences, all of the lights are really bright and everything just looks beautiful. So if this film has somehow evaded you so far, please check it out. It's one of the best action films from the 1990s and it absolutely holds up and I love it. If you're in the UK or in Europe and you want to get hold of some of these Kino Lorber titles, I received all of these from Boutique Home Video. They're a shop based in the UK. Fast shipping, you'll receive them within 2 days, and they have a multi-buy offer. If you spend over £100, you get 10% off. And they also have a Christmas wrapping service, so if you're buying a Kino Lorber 4K disc for a friend or family member, you can get it wrapped and make it a nice surprise for them. Moving in a completely different direction now, I have the film Staying Alive with John Travolta. This is the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, where John Travolta reprises his character. But this is a very peculiar film. Not a film that I think many people talk highly of, but there is something about this film that I find so alluring. Something that I find very strange about the film is that it's directed by Sylvester Stallone, and this is the only film that Stallone directed that he himself didn't star in. And John Travolta has gone on record saying that this was the best relationship he had with a director. He loved making this film. And when you look at the other directors that Travolta has worked with, Tarantino, etc., to say that Stallone is, the best relationship he's had really means something. The film is set 5 years after Saturday Night Fever. We see Tony going to Broadway to dance, and it's a different kind of film. It's a bit like All That Jazz, but without the same kind of spirit. There is some very awkward dancing in this. The choreography is quite strange. The central relationship in this film is lacking a certain chemistry, which I find actually quite entertaining to watch. The film is packed with music from Frank Stallone, which I guess helps if you're related to the director of the film. The film is honestly just an oddity. It's very strange, and if you asked me, is this one of the films that would be getting the 4K treatment in 2023, I would have said no. This hasn't even had a Blu-ray release in the UK or the US before this, I believe. But you know what? The film looks stunning from the scan of the original camera negative with the Dolby Vision HDR. So if you happen to be a particular fan of this film and Saturday Night Fever and John Travolta and Sylvester Stallone, maybe this is one that you want to be adding to your collection. It certainly doesn't let you down in terms of the visual quality and the audio quality. But make no mistake, I don't think this film is a lost masterpiece. It's just a very peculiar film that I just can't take my eyes off, and it's one that I find myself loving, and I don't really know why. Then we come to a classic of British cinema, The Italian Job, with Michael Caine, Noel Coward, the very famous music from this film. Many people have based their personalities off of Michael Caine in this movie. Sadly, I was too late to get a slipcover on this Kino Lorber 4K. It's one of the only ones I have that doesn't have a slipcover. Somehow I will live, but if anyone happens to have a spare slipcover around, please do let me know. The film is very 60s. It's a heist film, a caper. You know the drill with what you're getting into here. And I've got to say, watching it again on the 4K disc, I forgot how wacky this film is. It really is a bit off the wall. The ending of the film is unforgettable. And yeah, I just forgot how strange the whole thing was. That said, it is quite a beautiful film as well, shot by Douglas Slocum, who is a famous English cinematographer who shot the Indiana Jones films and a load of great older British films. Notably, he worked with Basil Dearden on a bunch of great classic English films, so do check those out. You've got music by Quincy Jones as well. So all around, this is one of those, I think, perfect Saturday afternoon films. This is, I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but this is a dad film. This is a granddad film. It's the kind of one that your dad or granddad probably love. And the film does look great on the 4K disc with the scan from the negative and the HDR. One thing I'd say is I don't remember the film looking this saturated in terms of the colours. I don't know if this is how the film should look, but some of the colours in particular, some of the exterior sequences in Italy, the sky is very blue and the colours of the cars are very striking. To me, it almost looks like they've been turned up a bit too much, but I'm no expert on this film. I hadn't seen it in many years. So that could be something that people might want to look into. But for me, just a casual enjoyer of this film, I was very pleased with the presentation. In terms of the special features, you get multiple of the older documentaries that were made for the DVD era. They're presented here as well. So there's lots to get into if you like the film. And I think for fans of the film, it's a great release. So 4 great releases from Kino Lorber on 4K. They are continuing the great work where we don't get any of these 4K discs in the UK, sadly. So you have to import them. And if you're in the UK like myself and you want to get these fast and easy and safely, then do check out Boutique Home Video. If you enjoyed this video and you want more 4K recommendations of Kino Lorber titles to buy, do check out the video that's presented on screen right now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.